Big Rube, I want you on in this one first. We're going to change gears. I want a couple of things. I got 3 other stories. I want quick hits. I want to get a quick comment in on everybody. But before I do that, I want to introduce my sister who just walked into the room. I got my sister S.Y. Butler just walked in. What's up, girl?
Hello, hello, hello.
How you doing, darling?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. It's glad to have you. You know, I was looking for you a little while ago, and you got here, and I'm glad to see you. And just let the listeners know
I won't leave
that
you lonely.
I see, you know, but I had Dame Pooh Diva, I had Big Room, and I had K-Dub. So I was well taken care of, but it's you that wasn't here that made me feel a little sad.
I appreciate my babysitters.
Yes, they took care of me. They
thank
took
y'all.
They took good care of me. Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J. My sister Michelle K is checking in. She's saying what's up to us. So we appreciate Michelle K listening to us. All right, Rube, I want you on this one first. This guy by the name of Cliven Bundy. Cliven Bundy, he is a Nevada rancher. Now, why are we talking about a Nevada rancher? For about 20 years, he has been letting his cattle graze illegally on federal land. The Bureau of Land Management claims that Bundy, who says he doesn't recognize the governor's authority over the land, they say he owes over $1 million in fees. They say, quote, "We are trading one form of slavery for another." This is what he's saying. "All of us are in some measure of slave of the federal government through their oppressive tactics of telling the ranchers how many cows they can have on their land and making the number too low to support a ranch." This is what he is saying. But that's the original reason why he ends up on our radar. But when they catch him talking, they catch him saying, quote, "Negro people were better off as slaves." Yes. You still have people in America who say these things. And when he was questioned on it, he actually says that he is just like Rosa Parks. And how do we come up with that? He says, quote, "I am standing up against the federal government, bad and unconstitutional laws, just like Rosa Parks did when she refused to sit in the back of the bus." This is what he said. Now let me recap all of that for you. Let me kind of make it plain. This is a dude who for 20 years had been breaking the law. When the federal government calls him on it, he ends up making some incendiary comments about slavery and talking about black people being better off as slaves. And then when they called him on that, he likens himself to Rosa Parks, saying that his fight against the government is the same as hers. I don't know if you've heard this story. I hope you have, because I kind of did just throw you on the spot. But what's your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know if this dude's racist. I don't care if this dude's racist. But I will say, unfortunately, he is kind of intelligent. And the reason why I say that is because he said all the right buzzwords to make his stance to the federal government go across America. Because you're right. Who cares about him grazing cattle on federal land other than the federal government? But you know what? What you do, you put a mic in his face or you have somebody interview him, and you know he says all the words. So all the way in Nevada, we're talking about this in Virginia. Look, slavery is a buzzword, you know. Of course, Rosa Parks is a buzz statement. You know, whether he's racist or not, who really knows? Who really cares? The important thing is how crazy the media is when they hear words like that. It just really sucks it up, and then everybody just eats off it. And what all this dude wanted to do is to get people to figure out what was going on with him and how unfair it is to him that the federal government sit here and tells him what he has to do. So what does he do? He says some buzzwords. He gets everybody's attention. And we're talking about this in Virginia when Ain't No Half Steppin with Marcus J. Do I think he's racist? He's in Nevada, for God's sakes. I have no idea. You know? Do I care? Honestly, no, because the only reason why he said all this is so he could talk about the fact that the federal government is pissing him off. And so, honestly, I don't even think this is something for us to even care about. However, the sad thing about it is, and the social part about it is, we have made words such as slavery such a word that, oh, slavery, oh, I got to see what's going on. And I mean, you know, slavery was a long time ago. Legally, and some people will tell you it exists, you know, in families and whatnot. But reality is, we're not slaves. I don't know any slaves going on in America. I mean, it could be some indentured service or whatever. But when it's all said and done, whenever a word like slavery is brought up, everybody just jumps on it.
All right, K-Dub, jump in. So let me stop you real quick.
Slavery is still around right now. Check out, I want to say it's the 13th Amendment, if I'm not mistaken.
13th Amendment.
It speaks to, I'm sorry?
It is the 13th Amendment. I know where you're going.
Amendment.
Go ahead.
So that's in regards to that. Secondly, Rube, in all of the comments that he made, what more did you need in order to know whether or not he's a racist or a bigot?
If I would have said any of those comments, regardless whether you know me or not, I would have been picked up in the newspaper as a racist or bigot too.
So that's what I'm saying. How much you were saying that you don't know whether or not he's a racist or bigot. He's pretty much he's kind of drawn his line in the sand as far as what part he stands on.
But and that's what he wants you to think. But ultimately, this is all about the fact that the federal government is, because it's Nevada.
He's speaking out both sides of his mouth, because in one way he's talking about he doesn't recognize the federal government, but if I'm not mistaken, some of the things that he's saying in regards to why he should stay there are federal government standards. So he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. You can't 1 minute say, I don't recognize the federal government and I'm not going to pay them in taxes, but then you're invoking, let's say, I want to say like the Second Amendment and other things that were set up by the federal government. But the question, you can't have it both ways. And what I do blame is this punk ass media, because nobody's calling him on that.
Yeah, but my question is, realistically, we look at this article or whatever. What does this article have to do about black people, other than the fact that he talks about it? Because when you read the article, it's not about black people and how much the road to parks are. It's not even about that. It's about the fact that he feels that the federal government is treating him as less than nothing and have to tell him what to do. And he's using slavery and Rosa Parks as a way to convey that. Is that right? No. However, he used that in such a way where it automatically grabs our attention.
What happened was that there were so many people that were chanting and being his cheerleader. And then when he made these comments, the story that went on was the fact that he made these particular comments, which changed all of these people that were backing him. It changed their views, and everybody was jumping off of the bandwagon. That's why it kind of blew up in his face. They were saying, oh, he's a great American. He's a patriot, so on and so forth. And then when they pull these records and see that he's talking about black people should be, they were better off being slaves, and they didn't know, he went to police or whatever like that, and people were sitting on in front of their houses because they were living off of the government. That's when all of these people that he was a patriot started to kind of back away from him, saying, whoa, I don't need to be associated with this guy because of his I guess his racial profile on black people. That's why it kind of blew up. It wasn't necessarily, he's a racist, this, that, and the third. It was because of the fact that everybody was on his team. He said something, now everybody's jumping off the bandwagon because they really see what type of dude he really is.
But when everybody was on his team, we didn't hear about this in Virginia. So he made this is just my opinion. Personally, it's Nevada. This dude, I don't even care. But, he's one way. You're right. And it gets a little bit of a media push. He's a couple things. Yeah, they back away, but now everybody in the country knows about this dude in Nevada who's mad at the federal government. But all we hear is slavery, Rosa Parks, and whatever. I'm not saying the dude's brilliant. And he could be racist. I could be completely wrong on this. However, he said what he needed to say. So now everybody in America has been touched by this article in whatever way they choose it to do. And now the federal government probably has to be like, oh, crap, now we got to go deal with this dude. And that's all he wants. He wants the federal government to come here and be like, look, blah, 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 and hopefully he'll get what he wants. Do I think he's racist? I got no clue, man. And to be perfectly honest with you, it doesn't affect me to that much because, one, he's in Nevada, and two, the article started out talking about his cattle and stuff.
Well, let me jump. Let me
care less about black people.
Let me jump in.
All about
Hold on.
The federal government and the push that he has that they've done to him, and he's just used the buzzwords to basically say, hey, look.
All right, let me jump in.
They treated me like they treated Rosa Parks back in the day.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here, because I don't think that you can make these comments and not be racist. So for us to question whether we think he's racist or not, I think we're being, well, I don't want to be disrespectful to you, Ruben, but I just don't think that we can question.
You don't think that's.
I don't think that we.
You don't think that's possible? He could lie.
I suppose that it's possible, but you don't say those kinds of things, Ruben, and not mean them. And if you say them and you don't mean them, you know what? Too bad you said it, and that kind of tag gets tagged on you, whether you are or not. You don't get to come. Hold up. You don't get to say the things that he said and come back later on and say, you know what? I'm not racist. I was just saying that to take the heat off me. No, you don't get a do-over on that. You are a racist. Now, if somebody wants to take me, I think we all, every single one of us, and we can go back to Donald Sterling and we can talk about Clive and Bundy here. I think every single person, whether you're in this room, on this phone, or listening to us, we all can say that we have said some things that can paint us in a negative light. If those comments get made public, then we got to own them. And if somebody says, you know what, Marcus J is a bigot because of what I heard him say, you know what, I got to deal with that. And so Clive Davis and anybody who is a family member or relative of him or someone that supports him, you know what, too bad. But you know what the right wing is saying right now? They calling him a patriot. They're calling him a real American. And we know those are buzzwords for Tea Party far right-wing people who do not like minorities. Minority being the word they use for people who are not white. So let's not play that game. Minority, you know what? The minority is the majority because people of color are the majority in the world. But for people like this, we cannot sit here and play this semantic game and say that he is not a racist. Because a racist is someone who says these kinds of things. It is what it is. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. I got a comment in. Sabrina's listening to us. Her comment is somewhat lengthy, but I want to get it in part. She says that she wonders if white America is really trying to get black folks to riot. Feels that the current rash of movies regarding slavery and the use of the N-word, as well as allowing ignorant people to drive mainstream media and how we spend time fighting ignorance. These are people getting our time and energy and fueling these conversations. Subconsciously, they want us to react and allow this ignorance to pour into our lives. I think that's a very good comment because you know what? There might be something to it because we know that the mainstream media plants things that they want us, like the whole weapons of mass destruction, which we know there was none. They use that so they can justify an unjust war in Iraq. So there is precedent for them putting bullshit out there to get us all riled up so that they can forward their agenda. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. I want to move on. I got two other stories and we got 10 minutes left in this segment. And so I want to get those last two stories in before we have to let you guys go. Big Rube, I want you on this one first. My last story, Dub, I want you on that one first. Big Rube, in Michigan. Well, first of all, you had mentioned earlier the 13th Amendment, K-Dub. The 13th Amendment actually is the amendment that abolished slavery, but it also says that if you are incarcerated, there's a different one that says if you're incarcerated, you still get to be a good old slave again. So I think that's what you were alluding to.
Right, right. That's right.
So the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, and I think it's the 16th that allows you to be a slave if you're in prison. Actually, it's not the 16th. But anyway, I'll come back to that. Big rule. In Michigan, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the Michigan ban on affirmative action in higher education. The 6-2 decision, they expect to further battles of affirmative action in the political arena. They've got Michigan voters by a margin of 58-42 passed a referendum to amend the state constitution and ban any consideration of race in college and university admissions. That is just one aspect of how they are trying to shut it down. Now, let me start off by asking you, as far your opinion on affirmative action. Is it something that's necessary? Do we need it? Is it an antiquated type of thing? Or are we wasting our time even having this conversation? Affirmative action. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm on two sides. Like, I think there's sometimes when it's necessary, and then there are other times when it's not. I think ultimately it was there so people would not abuse, not let's say, like hiring a black person instead of a white person, regardless of, their regardless of what they can do and their resume and stuff like that. I think that part of it is necessary. However, I guess I'm a fan of, if you work hard, you'll get it. I do understand that there are people out there whose whole life and working life is to put, people down and not make sure these people don't get above me and all this stuff, and I get it. I think affirmative action was for those people, so they can't control the landscape, as it were. However, when it's all said and done, I think those people still control the landscape to a point, in a different way, Now it's just illegal to do it.
K-Dub, jump in right there.
Yo, affirmative action needs to be in place for situations such as what we were talking about earlier with Donald Sterling. Straight up. There's a whole lot of Donald Sterlings out there, and if it wasn't for affirmative action, black people wouldn't be in the positions that they are. In regards to the educational part of it, I won't say that this could be a blessing in disguise, but follow me where I'm going with this. This young lady is fighting hard to get in. I believe it's Michigan.
University of Michigan,
right? Now, why is it that we can't have individuals that are talented, that are the talented 10th, whatever, smart individuals, stop trying to get into these big, I won't say stop. How about focus your attention and let's get back to what it was that we had before integration. Let's start taking our talented and having them go to the schools and be around people that look just like you, that basically are working toward the embedment of our community. Instead of trying to go to the University of Michigan, and I'm not saying that this is wrong, but understand where I'm coming from. Instead of trying to fight hard to get into the University of Michigan, Yale, Harvard, and so on and so forth, let's go back to what, when we were able to self-employ each other. Let's go to maybe some of these schools such as HBCUs where you're being nurtured by individuals that look just like you. You're exchanging ideas from individuals that look just like you. Keep in mind, before integration, you had 100% high school graduation. You had individuals that are going to these black schools and then learning trades and learning different things and coming out and going toward the embetterment of their communities, such as Tulsa, Oklahoma, such as Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, such as Durham, North Carolina, and a number of other different black communities. So that's kind of my perspective on that. And do I think affirmative action should still be around? Hell yes, because we have individuals such as Donald Sterling. We have individuals that we don't even know that are behind the pen. And if they had the ability to not hire individuals that look like us, they would not hire us. Straight up.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Last thing I want to get into, Dub, I want you in on this one first. Rube, I want you to make a real quick statement. I want the ladies in on this one, and then we're going to get the hell on up out of this segment. K-Dub, in Georgia, your governor has passed a law, I believe it was a week ago, last week. They signed a law that changed the gun laws in the state of Georgia, which now allows for Governor Nathan Deal. He signed a bill that allows guns in some bars and churches and schools. Basically expands the concealed license, House Bill number 60, I believe, or the Safe Carry Protection Act of 2014. The people against it, they've nicknamed it Guns Everywhere Bill, which is similar to Obamacare. We know it's not called Obamacare. It's called the, help me out, Ruben, it's called the
Affordable Care Act.
The Affordable Care Act. Nobody calls it that. They always call it the negative one, which is what Guns Everywhere Bill is, which basically means that they can carry guns anywhere. Kata, we know that you live in Georgia. Let's get you in on this one first, Ruben. I want you to jump in after that, and then I'll have the ladies, and then we're going to move on. What you got?
Here's my perspective. From individuals that I know that are in law enforcement, they tell me, and they tell any other individual that is black, if they're going to allow us to have guns, go ahead and get a gun. In regards to that situation, what I'm going to say might be a little bit mean. Here's why. If there's a situation, and God forbid, that there's a church shot up, if there is a shootout at a bar, just to give a caveat, businesses have to, at this particular point, because this is passed, businesses have to basically state whether or not you can walk in their establishment with or without a weapon. So that's something that now the onus is on the business owners. But what I'm saying is that if there's a church that may get shot up, a library, a school, or anything like that, because that law is passed, I don't want to hear anyone being upset if something like that was to happen here, because you're now giving individuals an opportunity to basically, if this establishment that I walk into, let's say it's a club, better yet, let's say it's a church. You know, I live in the Bible Belt. It's something is said, and let's say somebody pulls out their gun and sprays the whole congregation. How mad can you be?
I can dig it.
That's just my perspective. You know, that's just my perspective or what have you. I can't really say, you know, with the whole gun situation or what have you, I think it's a bad deal by letting guns being permitted in all these different places or what have you. But it'll be interesting to see if something tragic does happen down here, what will the reaction be?
You know, I have Steppin Marcus J. Big Rule, what's your comment on this?
Hell no, this is stupid. First of all, the problem is not the fact that I understand if you want to carry guns. How about we fix the ability to get a gun first? You know, because obviously if I'm 16 years old, I can get it off the internet and get it sent to my house, and then I can go and shoot up a school. I think we need to fix things like that first, then just say, hey, everybody can just carry a gun. Now, I understand that they are giving businesses the right to say yes or no. Now, is there some sort of big sign that has to be put up? I mean,
yeah, you know, it would have to, and it would be a sign upon you opening the door. I've actually seen this actually in a cigar spot that it says that no firearms are allowed on the premises. So
okay,
it'd be a sign that'll be right to go.
And then again, is if you make that if you're a business owner and you don't want guns in, what's still stopping people from bringing them in?
I can.
I mean, do you have a metal detector at your door? Is the state of Georgia giving everybody who says no a metal detector and a security guard so they can check? Because just because a sign says no, that doesn't mean that people who want to carry their gun won't just carry their gun.
All right, I hate to. Look. I hate to rush y'all, but I want to get the ladies in, but then we absolutely have to move on. So, fellas, stand by for a second. Diva, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, I am very anti-gun. I mean, I say guns nowhere, but of course that can't be controlled to that point. There are guns out there, whether it's legal or it's not legal. I definitely don't agree with guns everywhere. That's basically my stance.
That's why. What's your thoughts?
I don't agree either. First thing I did when I saw that was like, oh my God, trouble. Because, yeah, God forbid, now that everybody has the right to just carry it anywhere, anything can happen where there's going to be chaos. And the gun is not going to help the situation. It'll make the situation far worse than anything. I think they really need to rethink this.
Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J. I'm going to take the final word on this one. My thought is this. It's not going to be a popular opinion, but I'm a little bit indifferent to this simply because it's not usually the people who have concealed or unconcealed weapons who are the ones that are having the issues with the guns. Licensed gun owners typically are not the people who you see killing folks in the street. It's the people with the illegal guns that are doing that. And we know that the government is behind all that. The government is the one that's putting the guns in the streets, in the hands of the kids in the neighborhoods that are shooting and killing and all that stuff. And so when you tell me that you write a law that allows me to take my gun into my school, I found out the hard way about 2 weeks ago that in Virginia we've got concealed gun laws because I was standing next to somebody in a local store who had a gun. I happened to see it. And that person never did anything, and I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Simply because I didn't go home and watch the news to see anything with them. So my point is, I don't think that it's the people with the concealed guns that we need to be worrying about. It's the government that's letting the guns infiltrate the streets. Those are the ones that we need to be worried about. It is what it is. So, like I said, I'm going to take the final word on that one. Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J. K-Dub, say your final words, and then I'll get Big Ruben say his.
Hey, man, I will say this, man. Just recently in Jersey City, young man, 25 years old, got killed in the street for doing the right thing. So I know I've said it within the past month, and I've said it in the past, man. You know, Tell the people that you care about. Tell them that you love them, and try to try to live a righteous life, man. And rest in peace to my man Reed.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Big Rule, final thoughts. Where can we find you? What's going on with you, brother?
Fridays, Clutch, 7 to 9. The best sports show on the planet. Me and Dre take care of business every week for the most part. Also, I want to say this, then I'm out. You know, ignorance is only as much as you allow it to be. You know, be smart about doing things. Don't do things and when you know you shouldn't be doing it. Like driving on the wrong side, no full well, you should be on the right side. You know, just be smart and just do things the way it should be done. You'll live a lot longer, you'll be happier, and you know what? People will actually start to like you a little more.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Special thanks to Big Rube and K-Dub. They both gave us an hour tonight. I didn't expect it. I asked them both to give me 30 minutes. They gave me an hour. We got into a lot of good stuff, and I appreciate it. We're going to take our first break of the night, and when we come back, my sister SY and my sister the Dating Pool Diva will regain the show. This was man's hour, that first hour, but the ladies are about to infiltrate. There's two of them and one of me, so I'm not sure how I'm going to fare. I'm losing K-Dub and I'm losing Big Rule. Either of you guys want to call back and help me out, feel free. SY is going to do the healthy segment here first, and then after that, the rest of the show is going to be the Diva Diaries, the relationship segment that we do here. We're still taking calls on the stuff that we've already talked about. I know I kind of shared with some other folks. If you wanted to get your comment in, we had the lines tied up with Big Rube and K-Dub, so if you want to call us up and get a comment in on what we've already talked about, the lines will be open. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to be down with us. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. K-Dub, Big Rube, SY, and the Dating Pool Diva. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We shall be back. Fellas, go ahead and drop the line. We appreciate it, man. Talk to you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Talk to y'all soon. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We shall be back in just a few minutes.